Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ball Ridden Podcast. As always, I am Frank Sharoni. It is January 16th, and the standard is no longer the standard in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin stepping down as Steelers head coach officially announced this past week. Dad, would you like to eulogize Mike T?
The standard will always be the standard. Let's give it up one time for Mike Tomlin. And let's give it up one time with the Tomlin tambourine. Yeah. Hey, this is going to be my favorite episode ever. Okay? Because there's a ton of great things that happened with Mike Tomlin. And I am so honored and privileged to be part of this episode. And I'm going to tell you what, along with all the positive things that have been going on in the last week or two, especially in the world of football, I think this is a positive thing that just the way it kind of went out. And there's a lot of positive things we can find about it. Now, listen, everybody has their own perspective and their own point of view.
I think you're about the only Steeler fan that's gotten to this
I know,
point
and
already.
I respect the recent Steeler fans and some of the recent points of views because of how things have changed, but there's so much positive that he brought to this stage. But that's the other reason I'm honored, just to be in this era of evolution, just to watch how things have changed and evolved here, especially in the last year or two. It really doesn't surprise me. But I kind of like how he went out, and I like how he did it.
On his own terms.
And he did. And I don't know if it could have been in a more positive way, but I respect.
You off a 30-6 loss.
Right. I respect everybody's perspective, but I keep going back to the entire season.
Yeah.
And how it all, panned out. That's a long road we've been on. And there's a lot of times where they were chanting that, to fire him, and then he had 2 or 3 successful weeks after those times. There were times where our record was going to be just bad this year, and we were okay with that and coming to terms with that. It wasn't. It came out good, another winning season. I know that's not the most important thing right now. There were a number of weeks where we had so many injuries, especially on defense. Remember when the Colts banged us up, man? They were the number one offense mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where we were coming out wounded, man, and barely all of our parts were working, and things still, guys were still playing their asses off in that. The effort was still there. The pride was still there. The consistency was still there. That's why I think the standard was still there. He led them in that way.
Yeah. You're looking at more just this season, I feel like, but if you look at the past 5 to 8 years, it's just been the same story. Which one aspect of that story you pointed to is overperforming with what he was dealt.
Right.
I mean, you look at this team, you look at a lot of other teams in recent memory, the Steelers were far from what should have been a team with a winning record on paper, and he consistently produced that. At the same time, he also consistently produced blowout losses in the playoffs in a team that really had no hope past the first round of the playoffs. With that being said, there's a lot of Steelers fans that are celebrating it. I wouldn't consider myself in that boat, but 2 things can be true. I think it was time, and I think both sides knew it was time, and I think this is an amicable. Is that how you say it? Amicable?
I need a dictionary for that one.
Both sides probably felt good about this decision.
Gotcha.
And
yeah.
And mainly Tomlin, I think. I mean, I can't imagine he's got to be tired of all the bullshit you said.
Yeah.
Hearing the fire Tomlin and people down the road. You're already at this point where you kind of look and you're thankful. This happens every time a coach or a player leaves. Fan base kind of has this sort of animosity towards them right away. But there'll come a time down the road where I think Steelers fans as a whole show more gratitude for what he did, because 19 seasons and not one losing year. That's pretty damn impressive. The one thing I think of if you want to think recently, I mean, look at the Chiefs this year. They're supposed to be in the middle of one of the greatest dynasties in the NFL. And they win 5 or 6 games. Tomlin didn't let that happen once. So to do that for 19 years is pretty damn impressive. And then Super Bowl in year 2 or 3. But yeah, the past couple years, I think, just kind of ran dry. I think both sides felt that, and time felt right.
Yep. And I think, just, looking at Tomlin this year, he looked so much older,
Yeah, a lot of people are saying he looks worn out.
He's been there a long time, but he is, you're right. But I think the maturity of him, he started understanding that and understanding the evolution of today, especially this year. And I think that's what made him make this decision. I don't know if this would have been a good decision last year or the year before, but I think he knew right now this was a good decision to make right now, whether he wanted to make it or not, just of where he's at in his life and how much time has went by. So speaking of that longevity of just winning seasons, do you know that the longest tenured coaching, like he'd been there 19 years, right? So I'm wondering how many coaches have been at one place for that long. And the longest tenure was Curly Lambeau. He had 29 seasons with the Green Bay Packers, and that was between 1921 and 1949. Now the next one is a big fan of mine, and that's Tom Landry from the Dallas Cowboys from 1960 to 1988. So that's a little bit more recent in my day, because I'm a freshman in college in '88. Okay, so I watched Tom Landry and his longevity, and that's what Mike Tomlin reminded me of. So I was wondering who else had this type of history and this type of endurance. And that's the last one would have been in '88 with Tom Landry.
Him and Harbaugh, I don't know if they came in the same time, but they were 1 and 2 for the longest tenured present. Now it's Andy Reid, I believe, who is, I think, 13 years with the Chiefs.
Yep.
And then after that, it's a big drop-off, but I don't have the list in front of me. But the names were surprising, and that just shows how quick teams are to change and fire their coach. And
you know how big I am on the change,
Yeah.
And it's funny because this past year I've just been reading a lot and listening to people talk a lot about that change.
Steelers are an organization that does not normally change.
No, but when change happens, I often talk about being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and managing that change, whether it be within a game or with a scenario in life or something else that's happening. But nowadays, reading more and understanding more about change in this evolution that we have nowadays, they say the best way to deal with it is to create your own change. If you create the change in your life, then you've controlled that change, instead of the change being out of your hands and out of your control and you just having to deal with it. So maybe that's what made Mike make that decision to initiate that decision himself and initiate that change himself, instead of having it put on him where he would have to react to it in a different way.
When do you think the decision was made by him? Because personally, I think it's been made for a while now.
I think he's been talking about it with his family, and I'm sure he's got some professional people that are helping him out, and his coworkers, and heck, the teammates too, especially the older ones.
They had to feel it.
So yeah, I think he's open about those types of things. That's the other thing about him. He's not hiding things. So I think he's been thinking about it, which helps him make these better decisions also.
And he allegedly has a TV deal waiting for him, multiple TV offers where he's going to go be a analyst or whatever on TV for at least a year.
I could see that. I hear a young him in Fernando Mendoza. I do, just the way he's eloquent and the way he starts putting things together.
Speaker, yes, but he's not like Mendoza.
But I think Tomlin has that. He's fluent.
He's
like
the
that.
gift. He's got the gift of
He's
gab.
got
for
the
TV.
gift of gab. Yeah, and I think that's going to be a great job for him. Who's not going to appreciate listening to his perspective and his point of view? I mean,
he would be.
If anything,
time.
It's going to be interesting, and his isms are going to be so fun.
He would be big time. The question is, would he do a year and go back to coaching? I don't know. No one seems to know right now. I will say, if he does, I would be very, 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 very worried that he would go somewhere and make that team very, very, very good, very fast.
He has that.
And that would be a bad look
But
for
you
the
know,
Steelers. But
I think he's been watching Saban too, and the way Saban's kind of
that's all I could.
molded into that role.
I could
and
see him going into TV for a year and just being like, "Shit, this life isn't too bad."
Yeah.
You sit in the studio all day Sunday. You watch games. There's no pressure.
Yep.
And he's been, 19 years as an NFL head coach. That's a lot. Financially, he's
Mike Saban
more
says,
than well off.
That's his new team. Then it's smaller. He can be at the golf course and at the pool during the week, and just kind of low stress management, other things. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting, just like everything else has been.
All right, one more thing with more Mike Tomlin focused, and then we'll shift more towards the Steelers' perspective, you could say. You mentioned the Tomlin isms, right? You know, all these sayings he's got. The standard is the standard.
Yes, it is.
So I pulled a few Tomlin isms, and then I also have ones that aren't Tomlin isms. Either he didn't say, someone else said it, or they're just made up.
Gotcha.
So you think you can?
Are you going to quiz me?
Yeah, read them and
Let's
see if
do
you
this.
can identify them.
I'm excited about
I tried
this,
to
yes.
pick some less, like, because you know the popular ones: standard is standard, squashing grapes.
So I'm trying to decide if it's frank or false.
Sure.
Okay.
Tomlinism or not?
Tomlinism or not?
All right. First one. We're playing September football in November.
This is a Tomlinism.
That is a Tomlinism,
Yes.
and that's obviously referring to November. What you want to be play? That's playoff, near and playoff
so
football.
they're-
You want to be playing your best football then.
They're not playing very well, is
Not-
what he's telling them.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next one.
Sweet.
It doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
I don't think that was a Tomlinism.
That was Dan Campbell.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It sounded like somebody a little bit different.
That was the Dan Campbell.
It sounded
quote.
like a little bit more grit and a little less stoic, like he is.
That was
But
Dan
yeah,
Campbell.
That
yes.
is Dan Campbell. Good deal.
All right.
I like it, though.
Next one. I expect routine catches to be made routinely.
Definitely Tomlinism.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
Routinely, a routine statement by him.
Basically saying you're an NFL receiver, you should be making.
Yeah, do what you're supposed to do.
Ball hits you in the hand, you better catch it, which some players, DK Metcalf, had some problems with. Next one. If it was supposed to be easy, it wouldn't require grown men in pads.
This is a Tomlinism.
That is not.
Ah.
That's actually an AI.
Oh.
I asked AI to come up with
no
one
way.
just because
Okay.
to
Fooled me.
yeah. Well, I said make something that sounds like something Tomlin would say.
Oh, okay.
So did
That
your
does
job.
sound similar. It was a little weak, but the vocabulary wasn't quite
Yeah.
on the level of him.
Next one. This is big for you with your adversity. You and your adversity quotes. If our team doesn't face enough adversity early on in a season, I create it. Nothing builds a team like adversity.
Tomlinism.
Yes, he
For
did
sure.
say that.
Yeah.
How do you create adversity?
Well, you do different things. So
I think you can simulate it. Can you create it?
what I would do, like in my individual periods, I would start moving like really fast, and I would just start like speaking really fast and switching drills really fast and encouraging the kids to like, why aren't you keeping up with me? And then as soon as they're really lagging, I would stop and let them know what I'm doing. Like, this is going to be a part of the game.
So you're just making them
Somebody's gonna be
uncomfortable.
I'm trying to make you uncomfortable. And right now, like, how are we dealing with it? You know? And there'd be situations where I would create them like that on the field. Maybe I didn't have a tool or a ball to use in the drill, and we would need it or something. And I would create like a little bit of pandemonium, and then really praise them for, man, sweet. Everybody's dealt with it. Somebody else might have came up with the solution besides me,
Mm-hmm.
and then you let them know how much they're really just taking hold of that, and learning how you're going to be fine on the field Friday night if this happens. If something else happens where chaos or confusion happens, you're going to be ready to solve the problem instantly, and just let them know how confident they should be with that.
Yeah, because I mean the main thing that came to mind for me when it comes to adversity and in football, and especially the NFL, which we've seen this season, is like injuries. You can't like simulate a guy getting injured, but that's probably the biggest form of adversity, right? But yeah, you just make people make them uncomfortable and put them in situations they're not used to.
Some of the best adversity I thought about was mental. So like that's where I came out with the flashcards on the field, and I would have those for my smaller groups and individual periods, and then put them through some mental adversity first. Because then once you throw that physical, in there where you're sucking wind and you're tired too, it makes things a lot more difficult. But flipping through those flashcards used to make like, hurry up, quick decision.
Just make them uncomfortable.
What are you saying? And simulate things just like they would be on the field. Because the field is chaos. The game, it moves so much faster. And that's what I think Tomlin does with his isms. He's making you think and filter through
your brain. Like,
he's
what
making
the hell
you
is this
think.
guy saying?
He's making you comprehend, define, and
half those players.
He's doing what I'm doing in the classroom when I'm teaching kids how to read and understand how to read and what they're reading.
If anything, it makes guys listen, because half the guys in the NFL probably sitting in those meeting rooms are just completely zoned out.
Definitely. And one of the terms I used to say, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you're supposed to be listening twice as much as you're talking. So the listening part's not on a high scale nowadays, but it's so important.
All right, last one. You can't cook from the living room.
Tomlinism.
So this is one I found. It's like a message board where people can post. And someone wrote that, and then I tried to look it up on the internet, and I didn't find anything official, but someone said he said it.
Gotcha.
And it was in reference to I thought it was really clever and a kind of funny quote, but in reference to coordinators being on the sideline instead of in the booth.
Gotcha.
You can't cook from the living room. You got to be,
yeah.
I don't know. I think I would always prefer to, you were in the booth, right? Always.
Yes.
I think you have a better view in the booth, but.
That's why I wanted to be in the booth. But you can't be in the booth unless you have you on the sideline to speak through your headphones.
Some guys like to see the players in the eyes.
I've had very few people that I had on the sideline, but there has only been one of them, maybe two, that couldn't relay my message. And choosing that person is very important when you're not on the sideline. And then the other thing about not being on the sideline that's important is getting the kids on the headphone a lot and actually letting them hear your voice and hearing the urgency in your voice. And then you can throw a few isms at them too. But the Tomlin isms, immediately when you know that's his thing and that's the way he speaks, as soon as he's presenting in front of you, it makes you want to stop and say, hey, I'm going to listen a little bit more sharp here because I want to hear and remember a lot of these things.
That's the thing. If he's on TV, I think he's going to draw a big,
very, very much
big crowd.
Yeah, very much.
All right, let's shift now to the Steelers. So Steelers are going to need a new head ball coach. This is going to be the fourth head coach since 1969, I believe.
I know, and this guy is not going to be about what he's capable of doing. It's going to be about what he's willing to do. If you're a blinker, better cut your eyelids off. This guy, he better be focused. There's nothing mystical about this. The standard is the standards, okay? 2 dogs and 1 bone. Somebody's going to want this job. I'd rather say whoa than sick him, but hey.
Is this your eulogy?
Somebody, the guy that gets the job, he better want to be the guy. Everybody has something dirty about their jobs.
All right, so it was Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and then Mike Tomlin, which anything else, any more Tomlin-isms you want to get off before we close the book on him in Pittsburgh?
No, that's good.
All right. So there was a story, Tomlin, I'll leave with this, that when he became head coach, Cowher left him an Iron City beer in the fridge. That was the one thing that was left in the office when he took over. So it'll be funny to see if Tomlin returns the favor to the next head coach. So let's talk who that next head coach will be. I once again have composed a list. These are just some names that are hot in the streets right now in the NFL coaching carousel, or that been thrown around for Pittsburgh. So we'll go through these quick. Who knows when a head coach will be named, but it's interesting. The Steelers have gotten it right when hiring head coaches, right? That's why there's only been 3 in the past however many years.
Yes, and when Tomlin was hired, I was kind of worried at first, but he proved himself pretty early.
That's what they say their thing is. Well, it's hard to say there's like a theme or something when they've only done it so many times.
Right.
But Cowher and Tomlin were apparently both kind of unknowns
Yes, but
Not
I
young.
think,
They were young, not extremely proven defensive guys.
yes, but I think knowing their culture from their
That's where like they say the Steelers probably get or have done it right in the interviews where they really get to know who a guy is, what culture
when
he
you
will
get
bring.
to know what culture that person is, I think where he's from. Yeah,
And that's the whole process. I forgot to say this earlier, but I mean it's kind of crazy. My whole life has been, from what I remember, with the Steelers and Mike Tomlin.
right.
So I think it would be a little fun for a little bit of change.
Yeah, most of my life was Chuck Knoll, and then we were all worried when Cowher got it. But then knowing him, from now I drew a block of the little town he lived in. Kumba Dave used to live in that town when him and Janet first got married. It's a small town out by Robinson Town Center is where he grew up. Anyway, so he's a Berg person, you know what I mean? Inside and out.
Being a Pittsburgh person.
Yeah, man, you could tell right away after he started coaching.
Crafton?
Yes, Crafton.
Yeah, he's from Crafton.
And that's right where Vincent's is.
Oh,
You've been to Vincent's. That's where we went for your birthday or your graduation. I can't remember.
Other side of the tunnel.
Yeah, right. That's Crafton, that area right there.
All right.
But Tomlin, after I read his book,
yeah,
he seems like a Pittsburgh guy.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's definitely got football.
19 years in that city.
Coming from William and Mary, too. And then, knowing where he grew up, I learned that in his book, in Hampton, Virginia. And we spent time there with Anthony's AAU team when they made it to the national tournament down there. In Hampton, Virginia, there's a number of NBA players. Allen Iverson is from that town. But we stayed there for like 10 or 12 days for this tournament. And let me tell you what, man, you got to be tough living in that town. It is hardcore. So he talks about that a lot in his book, too. That's where he got a lot of his grit.
All right. You want to run through this list real quick?
Let's do it.
So I guess the options here would be, does that name interest you? Does that name not interest you? Or you don't know who that is? Because a lot of these names in the NFL head coaching cycle are just like random coordinators you never even heard of.
There's a lot of newbies right now.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Let's do it.
First one, Mike McDaniel.
Why? I don't think they would ever. If they did, it wouldn't surprise me nowadays, but I'd be like, WTF.
That was actually my question with this. Could you see the Steelers hiring like this young offensive-minded head coach, which has become so popular in the NFL?
I don't know about him, man. That's not the culture.
I think he'd be a great OC, but yeah, I don't think he's a head coach. But he's getting head coach interviews despite just getting fired by the Dolphins.
I know, but that's different.
All right, next one, Chris Shula.
I heard this, and I was reading about this one first. But the Shula name, that goes back to my history.
Yeah, I don't know much about the Shula name.
Is this Don Shula's grandson?
Grandson, yes. He's the Rams defensive
coordinator. So I don't know how tight he is with that culture, but in my day, a Shula would be a good Steeler type of coach with the culture. You know what I mean? But the way, the grandson, I'm not sure if his era, I'm not sure what his record is or what his experience is, and
that's kind of why he's
recently.
I think that's kind of why he's a popular name though, because he fits that mold. You know, young, kind of unknown defensive guy.
Yeah, way better than the first one. Let's go. Who's the next one?
Brian Flores. You remember him?
Yeah, the coordinator, right? He's
been with the Vikings.
I know who's he with now.
He's still with the Vikings, but
that's right.
He's probably gonna get a head coaching opportunity.
He's got some experience. You can tell he's kind of been wanting it.
He was with the Dolphins before McDaniel, and he kind of got screwed there.
Wasn't he with the Steelers?
He was with the Steelers in 2022 after the Dolphins thing. He was just like
before he went to Minnesota.
Yeah, he was just like a defensive assistant though, because the whole Dolphins thing is kind of sketchy.
You know what else I was reading a lot too? A lot of the Steeler head coaches have a defensive perspective and defensive experience.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So I think that's a good name. Yeah,
defensive mind. Yeah, I'm a fan of Flores too.
Better than Shula, especially because he's been there before, so he's familiar with the setting and everything there, and the people are familiar with him too.
Yeah. Next one, another defensive guy, another young defensive guy, Jesse Minter.
Where's he from?
He's the Chargers D coordinator. Was at Michigan with Harbaugh.
Ooh, I stay away from that right now. What?
He'll probably be one of the hottest names in this.
Really?
Yeah, the Chargers defense. It was very good, and I mean he was really good at
Hey,
Michigan.
they were tough. You're right.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I think you're right though. I don't know if he's a guy that the Steelers would go after.
Yeah, I don't know what his culture is, but I know the Chargers did well this year, man.
Except for
who's got it better than them?
the
Nobody.
Next name, Nate Shieldhaas.
No, where we got him from?
This is the Rams passing game coordinator. He's a former Illinois quarterback. Kind of fits the mold of we saw it a couple years ago, where everyone who had basically had a conversation with Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or that coaching tree was getting a head coaching interview. So his name's been thrown around here a lot. And I believe he is going to interview. It was announced today, I think. Offensive guy, though. Young.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right, next one. 4 more left. Marcus Freeman.
Damn, we have that many in line already?
No, these aren't interviews. These are just names that have been
thrown out.
Yeah.
Marcus Freeman. Hey, before all this CFP stuff and them getting left out, I would say no. But who knows what he's thinking nowadays. So I don't know. I'm just not sure what he would do in the NFL, but he might just seem like this might be the right decision right now, even though it might not have been a month ago or 2 months ago. So
yeah, I
good
agree.
question. That's interesting.
I ultimately think he'll stay at Notre Dame, but there's only 32 NFL head coaching jobs, and if you get an offer for one,
yeah,
especially an organization like the Steelers, I think it's pretty hard to turn down.
He's got to respect that, doesn't he? So yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Next one, John Harbaugh.
Who? Another interesting one.
I don't think the Steelers would do that, right?
Yeah, that might be. It might be too. Yeah, that's too old. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Hey, it'd make a great movie.
Yeah, and then Tomlin goes to Baltimore, right? They swap.
Yeah,
him.
right. There we go.
All right, next one, Robert Saleh.
Where we got him from?
So he's the Niners defensive coordinator. He was with the Jets for 1 or 2 years as the head coach, but I honestly think you kind of throw anyone's time out at the Jets here recently out the window. They were bad when he was there, but I think New York's just kind of cursed. But he could also be a guy some guys are just meant to be coordinators and not be a head coach. But he's had the Niners have one of the best defenses in the league on top of being completely depleted with injuries. And he was really good with them before he left for the Jets. But he's another defensive guy, but much more experienced.
Yep. And you just said it right there. How are they going to be head coaching wise? It's way different than any other position, and I think it's even more different in this fit in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Good, these are great choices.
Last one, which will lead us into our next topic. Curt Cignetti.
Huh. I don't think he'll want it.
I don't think he will either.
He don't want that
from
right
Pittsburgh, though.
I know. That would be dream. Who knows, man? Because, hey, yeah, I don't know, man.
The one thing with him, though, 1, he's old. And 2, I think he might have the biggest chance or possibility of it being a complete and utter failure.
Yeah, right.
And that's not something I could see the Steelers organization doing.
I think he's got a lot of parts wanting to come to Indiana next year.
Yeah, and I think
stay at Indiana next year. So
if money's an issue, he can go to Indiana and ask for whatever he wants right now.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think he leaves college.
And then, am I hearing right? Is Cuban throwing them a bunch of NIL money?
Yeah, Cubans.
Yeah, sweet.
Cuban's their guy. On top of having the largest alumni base in the U.S. So yeah,
it'd make a great movie.
They're not hurting on money.
All right, a great movie.
That'll obviously lead us quickly. We'll go into the national championship, college football national championship game. Miami plus 8.5 against Indiana. Indiana rolled Oregon in the semifinal. Miami squeaked out a win against Ole Miss in their semifinal matchup. Carson Beck has been flawless in the playoffs. He hasn't had to necessarily play hero ball, but he has been flawless. Indiana as a team has been more than flawless, as I would say, head and shoulders above everyone else, correct?
Head and shoulders, upper echelon.
Upper echelon. They're looking to complete the perfect season here in the national championship Monday night at 7:30.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I didn't realize what a what a duel this is going to be between Beck and Mendoza. This is really going to be a duel, man.
The quarterbacks and then both defenses have been stellar.
Oh, this is going to be surgical, man. It's going to be so interesting watching how they see. First, everybody's waiting for someone to have a bad night, but no one is, man. They're just vibing right now, and they're just
Miami was kind of shooting themselves in the foot against Ole Miss.
Yeah,
but the whole thing with Indiana has been that they do not make mistakes,
right?
And they don't.
So this is really going to be interesting to see the consistency that is provided here, especially being a different, like a Monday night. I think they're going to have this different perspective on a Monday night, after a Sunday being the pregame day. So
in Miami Stadium, but I would expect Indiana to have the heavy crowd advantage.
Man, they traveled well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I don't think they care where they play right now. I don't think they really care about anything. They're just so focused on themselves and just production. They're just ignoring all the noise, man, and just not being complacent. They're just vibing like we're the underdog still. We still need to watch the film and clean things up. They have that perspective.
Yeah. So it was like after they beat Ohio State in that Big Ten championship, a lot of people, and I kind of felt the same way. Like they treated it like that was their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then the way they came out in the playoff, it's been a sight to behold. And I think I like them to win it all.
Yeah, me too.
Cap off one of the greatest seasons.
It's going to be a great evening.
Greatest stories in college football history, probably.
For sure. Yeah, but these two they're going to be something to watch. These two quarterbacks and the two defenses together. It's going to be very entertaining.
We will have, if Indiana wins, they'll be a first-time national champion. Miami's last national championship. I don't know, did they win one when there was actually like a national championship game? So they lost to Ohio State.
I think it was just when they had the Rose Bowl and that. So.
And they just like the AP named one or whatever.
Plus, Indiana's got to do it for Lee Corso, man. Yeah. He's fired up watching it at home.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He sent a message or something. So, yeah, that's going to be good.
All right, I got my late night thought before we get out of here. Anything else you want to
late night thought?
Anything else you want to hit on before we round it out?
No, I want to give a shout out to Bill Harlan. He's always listening. He's telling me, your godfather, big Buckeye fan. I think he's proud of you this year. How much support that you've given out for the Buckeyes. And Bill's like the brother I never had, so I appreciate him, and he's always known what's going on with the BRP. So I want to give a big shout out to Bill Harlan down there in Grove City.
Buckeye basketball. He's a big Buckeye basketball.
Yeah, I know he's been to a few games already. Yeah, he's always going to a game, and he's always shouting us out with some tickets when he has them.
They're already on the bubble.
I know. It's been a tough season. They got a lot of Central Ohio boys.
Yeah, they got to get them out.
But Diebler does a great job out down there. He's a hard worker, and
I don't know if a lot of people agree with that.
Well, it hasn't been that way. I'm just talking about more of his culture and his.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Seems like a good guy.
You got to win though, and that's what they've been struggling with a little bit lately.
Yeah. All right, ready for the late night.
What's your late night thought?
So this is something I've kind of thought about a lot over the past couple years, but it dates all the way back to. You were a kicker, right? So this has to do with kickers.
I was a kicker.
Back in your day, around, I guess, when you were high school, college, around my age, like, what was considered a long field goal?
Well, Tom Dempsey had the record, and I think it was 60-something.
Oh, it was?
I thought it was 60.
Okay, but guys weren't making it like nowadays.
No, guys, no. Very few were past 50. For like high 40s, 50, very few guys. You had a handful of them. You could count them on one hand, not using your thumb, that could do like between 50 and 60. Now, I can't remember what.
That's kind of similar today, but I feel like nowadays it's.
Find it. Tom Dempsey's record field goal was it 63 or 69? I can't remember.
No, not 69.
But see, Tom Dempsey only had a half a foot.
That's not fair.
63. Well, that's what everybody was kind of saying. So his was 63. I can't remember his story now, how his foot got cut in half.
This guy's got a piece of metal on the
He
end.
did.
That's
So
not fair. He's kicking.
well, back then nobody kicked soccer
All
style.
right. My thinking was nowadays it seems like high 40s, anything really like 55 and under, I feel like, is almost seen as automatic, right?
Yeah, so 45 and under would have been automatic in my day.
And we got guys hitting 60 sometimes with ease. I think the record, it got broken this year.
Maybe 40 and under in my days without the soccer style, because that's what the soccer style did. It gave you more distance.
Yeah, the record right now is 68. So my question is, back in the day,
Okay.
68 or the guys being automatic like they are now from deep would have sounded wild, right?
Yes.
Have kickers maxed out, or are we going to hit a new, is there going to be another bump?
Man, I'm wondering
like 10,
about
20
that.
years from now, is it going to be anything in the 60s is normal and guys are hitting 70?
I'm wondering about that with the ingenuity and all that. They're going to find something maybe.
I can't imagine.
I know.
Like that would
but
almost
look at how far they're throwing the ball now.
That would ruin.
Too.
That's the problem. It's not ruining the game, but it's kind of hard to watch or frustrating when all you need, they're changing the kickoff and stuff, but touchback gets you to the 25, and then all of a sudden you need what, a first down, a first down or two, when you're in field goal range.
Yeah.
It's just it's a whole different game, but
and I'm starting to see like more larger kickers, like heavier guys kicking. And I'm wondering if
get
they're
more
gonna
get more weight,
get more,
more ass,
get more momentum and inertia into that. And
so that
force.
was my thought. Just have kickers maxed out, or are we going to get 10, 20 years from now where
in today's day and age, I'll say no, they have not maxed out, because you're always figuring a way to make things better. So I can't say.
I can't imagine a time, though, where 60s are like normal.
Yeah.
But I think one day we will see someone hit 70. I guess I'm more thinking of where it becomes like routine or expected makes.
Right.
But
interesting question. Hey, great late night thought.
Yes, that is.
You got me
late night
thinking.
thought.
I never thunk about that.
You're a straight on kicker.
Yeah.
What was your max?
Conventional.
About 30.
I hit a 46-yarder.
Oh. In game?
In a game, yeah. That was a long one. Yep. And then I had a record for the most extra points without a miss. I think it was 36 or 38.
Oh,
and I kicked all 3 years, sophomore, junior, and senior. So I was lucky to be able to do that. And freshman year was interesting. We didn't have a square toe shoe, so I would use a shoestring, and I would wrap it around the front spike on the tip.
Bring it up.
I would tie it behind the back of my calf, and I started ripping a piece of my skin back there, so I started using a knee pad back there, turned backwards, so the string wouldn't dig into the back of my calf, and I would pull up that front of my cleat, and then the first 3 spikes, the first one on the tip, and then the next 2 were showing, and I was kicking the ball with that.
That doesn't sound legal.
No, but anyway, so freshman year too, Mr. McCormick, our manager.
Would you play the whole game like that or do
that? No.
So
the manager would run out the knee pad and the shoestring to me, and he would push my toe up while I would tie it.
How the hell?
And we made that go quick.
That quick.
We had a system and we practiced it. Yep, Keith Bodo was his name. Our manager. He was my manager for 4 years and helped me get the shoe on and everything quickly every time, because I never left the field. I played linebacker and fullback, and I never left the field. I kicked that ball on kickoff, and I would run down the field with that thing up, and I would be the wedge buster while I would like limp down the field with that thing on. It was crazy.
Very illegal.
It was crazy.
Bring back straight on kickers.
Yeah,
that probably won't happen, right?
No, you can't get enough force, because you can when you swing your body sideways like that, they get more of their hips into it. See, that's where all the force is created from. It's from your hips when you strike the ball, kind of like when you're hitting a golf ball. And I guess that's why you hit the golf ball that way, sideways, because when you rotate your hips that way instead of just forward, it creates a lot more force into the ball when it makes contact.
I can imagine. All right. That'll wrap up this episode of the Ball Ridden Podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Peace.